Okay, I call to order a special meeting on Wednesday, November 28th, 2018, and our special meeting is starting at 7:10, Snoqualmie Valley Hospital on South Conference Room. We need a roll call. President Norris? Here. Vice President Karen? She's absent. Secretary Spikers?
Here.
Commissioner Pollard?
Here.
Commissioner Young? Here. Do I hear a motion for approval of the agenda? I make that motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go on for a vote. All those in favor of this agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we move forward. Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, then we're moving on. New business is resolution 550118, and it's approving and adopting the rate amount of increase in our regular levy tax level for 2019. You're on.
Thank you. So, Commissioners, this is a singular agenda item, and in a special meeting, you can only address the item that's on your agenda before you. And what is before you is a second resolution that the county requires. The county requires a resolution that identifies what the increase is from the previous year and what that percentage is from the previous year. This is a resolution that I had previously drafted and sent to your CFO, and then after speaking with the county, I was under the impression and interpretation that we did not need this second one because the threshold of the 101% had been met. In discussing it with them, I thought we only needed the second one. They said, we don't need those, we throw those away. So we didn't present to you this second resolution, which is typically presented to you. It was presented to you last year, and the year before, and the year before that. And it did not get presented to you, and that was my error and my mistake, and it should have been provided and submitted to you then. And for that, I profusely apologize. Unfortunately, you had a meeting scheduled tonight, so my ego and pride is bruised, but I'll recover because I don't feel bad you didn't have to hold another meeting and come back. So I would ask you to consider this and adopt this. It's
You
consistent.
make us feel better that you're apologizing, and you make us feel better that you made a mistake. We're all in this
Sure.
together.
And rightfully so, did make a mistake on that. And fortunately, it's not anything that couldn't be corrected, and you don't have to have this in until December 6th, so you're still ahead of time. And when I spoke with the county, they said, we understand how you might have misinterpreted that. That didn't make me feel any better, but they did say they understood that. So this identifies that the levy amount from the prior year was $3,747,698, and that the increase over the actual levy amount from the previous year is going to be $29,650, and it's 0.79% from the previous year. If you put in the prior year's collection, then you get to the 1%. And Commissioner Spikers had asked, well, why isn't it 1%? Well, it's 0.79 because they back out what you received from the refunds the previous year. This is just how they do that. So I would offer this to you as a resolution to be adopted. And on completion of that adoption, I just have one other item, Madam President, on the prior resolution.
Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution number 550-1118?
I would make the motion, but I also want to have discussion.
Okay.
Because I do want to change this.
Do we need a motion before we have a discussion, or do we have a
I'd
discussion?
like to discuss.
The motion allows you to then discussion. You don't take a meeting.
That's what I thought, so I
you need a
need
motion and a second, then we have a discussion.
All right, and now we can have discussion.
In the last, thank you. Can
Yes,
I-
that was moved, yes, you can.
So
Yes.
in the last 3 years, we've set aside these proceeds to go directly into a separate fund for tax repayment purposes. The last 3 years.
Actually, just, I think a couple years ago. Anyway,
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
This would be the third year then.
yeah, and I think this would be the third and skip a couple of years.
So that is what I would like to see happen with these proceeds. I think our constituents have always been on our back about how their taxes are high and we're not paying back bonds and things like that. And this is some step in that direction to set these funds aside in that specific account, which we do have, right? We have
Board
earmarked
restricted
that
funds,
account
yes.
to to place this money in that fund for future, specifically to pay taxes when they become due.
Okay, you're talking about, yes, debt refunding? Okay.
No, taxes, the bond, I should say.
Yeah,
Bond
tax,
return.
debt,
Yeah, the debt,
debt, yeah,
not refunding, the bond, pay out the bonds.
right. Bond retirement, oh, it's called.
And I think that we've done that the last 2 years, so that's all I want.
Is there any, yes, Commissioner?
How much is in that fund right now?
I,
Should be about 60,000.
probably about that, and we add another 29,650.
So can that money be used for any other purpose, or is that
Not for what we do.
No, the board has restricted the use of those funds, so management will not use that amount of money.
So this would add to it about
About $30,000.
$30,000
Yeah.
this year, and that goes into a restricted fund.
Mhm.
So if anybody complains about how we sort of pass through these levies without involvement of the public, at least we can say that it's going into a restricted account
Mhm.
to protect us from being able to meet our contract compliance under the
Yes.
revenue bonds or the
Yes.
revenue bonds.
And it's
That's
cash on
essentially-
hand, right?
Well, what you're doing is you're saying we're going to use that money to, in the future, I think, pay off
Pay out.
debt, debt retirement, pay off the debt. Yeah.
It's restricted.
Okay,
Mhm.
makes sense.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chairman, I just want
Yes.
to be clear, that can't be made as a motion tonight, that's a discussion, but we have a special meeting, and at a special meeting, you can only address the one agenda item, and that's to approve and adopt this
That's
resolution.
why, I know, and that's why I said to Steve, this needs
I'm
to
not
be
going to
done.
spend it.
We've done this 3 years in a row.
What I would suggest is that the-
What is it we can't do tonight?
What you can't do tonight is put a budget restriction or an adjustment or an allotment amount
All we
set
can
aside
do is
for this
take-
purpose.
Just a minute, let me hear from one person. Say that.
So the discussion that you had with Commissioner Spikers, the Secretary Spikers identified he'd like to see these funds set aside a certain way.
Yeah.
The board can do that, but they can't do it in tonight's meeting, because tonight's meeting is a special meeting and only has one agenda item. You can't put a new
And our
agenda.
agenda item is?
The agenda item meeting tonight is for the
The
adoption
RC.
of Resolution 550-1118, which is,
And as part of that, it can't be stated that it will go into a restricted account?
cannot, because you've already published notice that this was your one agenda item. You didn't have this additional piece about setting it aside.
Yeah, well, I don't know why we couldn't do it all at once, like we normally do, so.
I think in the past, we did it all at once.
But in the
I
past,
really have to remind you guys.
But in the past, you haven't passed a resolution with that.
Right.
You put it together as building part of your budget. And so all you have to do is go back to your next meeting. You can do it by motion, you don't have to do it by resolution. You can do it by motion to set aside that amount in the restricted area that you've already
And
created.
it would be nice to have the exact amount that was placed already in that restricted fund, so
Okay.
we can keep track of it.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Then we can do that.
So on that note, at the last meeting, you had asked, I referenced that there was a copy of the resolutions that are required by statute. So this is a document that identifies, and I think the bylaws committee members, this one's before. And I know
Are we discussing still this motion?
we're just discussing the motion. This identifies and answers your question in part. Secretary Spikers and Commissioner Pollard. This is when you're required to have a resolution, and if you go over to page 4, these are the budget, taxation, and financing. You're not required to have a resolution to set aside and build your budget, amend your budget. You know, that's an internal document. The adoption of the district's annual budget for fixing the annual amount of expenditures for the coming year is required. And then the imposing and are providing an increase in property tax revenue, which is what we're doing tonight, that authorizes the increase in terms of both dollars and percentage, that's required by resolution. So that's what you're doing tonight, is what's identified as RCW 8455-120. So I think that further
So
answers.
where is that on?
Second.
If you look
Oh,
at
it's up
page
at the
4.
top. Providing for an increase in property tax revenue.
Correct.
Okay. I thought that as a nonprofit organization, we don't pay taxes, at least on our property. What we
This is the
don't.
revenue from tax.
This is the property revenue tax that you're
Coming into
receiving.
us.
It's generated by your taxpayers in your public hospital district.
Including us.
And it's provided to you. 38 cents is currently what you collect. You can collect up to, by statute, 75 with voter approval.
Okay, and that's to retire our LTGO bonds and stuff, is that correct?
Well,
The majority of our tax revenue goes to pay off debt service on our LPGO bonds. We have about $600,000 a year tax revenue in excess of that debt service requirement that we use for operations. Yes.
you don't
Good question.
necessarily have to use the tax revenue you collect to retire your bonds, but you obviously need to, unless you earn enough profits otherwise, retire your bonds with your profit.
Okay, so as far as tonight goes, we don't sign anything.
Tonight you do, if the motion is before you, it's been moved and seconded to adopt this resolution, identifying for the county that the increase from the previous year is $29,650, and it's a 0.79% from the previous year. That's what the county needs to have in their files.
Okay, is that part of the budget process?
To some degree, it is part of the budget process, but it's more specifically part of the process in order for you to receive your tax revenue from your property
And
tax.
so at the next meeting, we will then restrict the proceeds to the fund that the CFO just described.
You could do that, that's correct.
Okay. It's up to the chair, I guess, to put that in as an agenda item.
Yes. Got it.
Got it. Thank you.
Is there any further, John, do you have anything more to say?
No, I was just going to call it the budget.
All right. All those in favor of resolution, resolution number, okay, resolution number 550-1118, approving and adopting the rate of amount of increase for a regular tax levy for 2019. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
One last
Thank you,
thing.
Skip, for helping us.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, I might not have had to help you, we would have just sent that off, and thinking you were sending them an additional document they didn't need. One last item is we looked at the resolution that has previously been sent to the county, and that was the one that you did adopt at the last meeting, and there appears to be a typographical error where we used 2017 instead of 2018. And so we're going to confirm with the county that this is 2018, that it's a Scrivener error, it's a typographical error. That's the only intent. We'll ask that we replace those sheets with corrected Scrivener-free now errors. So I'm advising the board that we're doing that on your behalf.
Is that done every meeting?
I think so. I think when people have a, incorrect date, they notify that. And so I think the county would do that. If it's not done routinely, unfortunately, I'll get back to you and say we have to do it some other way. I think maybe what we could do then, based on that comment, is to cover our bases, I would ask for a motion that authorizes me and your CFO to correct those Scrivener errors in case the county says, well, you can't do that, Mr. Hauser, just because you think you can correct Scrivener errors. I believe it's done routinely. But if not, Madam Chairman, I would ask that you adopt a motion that says to correct any Scrivener errors from 2017 to 2018 in the last resolution.
I'm going to spell that word that you were saying about
Scrivener
errors.
is
Scrivener.
S-C-R-I-V-E-N-O-R, Scrivener.
S-C-R-I what?
R-I-V-E-N.
E-N-O-R.
That's C-R-I-V.
V.
That's what she's having a hard time.
V is in Victor.
Scrivener. Okay.
You notice that Secretary Spiker is aware.
Yeah, I know you knew right after the village book session, actually.
Happens all the time.
Okay, so we have I need a motion to move that we have correct, or Scrivener
Scrivener errors.
Scrivener errors.
Do we have to do that tonight, or no, we need to do that in the regular meeting?
I think we should do it tonight because we're doing these resolutions. And this was
And
the
the fact that
resolution.
it's not on the agenda, doesn't matter.
Right, I believe because it's related to this resolution
Okay.
that we previously did, I think we're all right.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of passing this, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It's unanimous.
And again, I'm not even certain that that might even be necessary.
Okay, well, we've done it just in case.
Yeah,
And-
Steve caught that after we sent it over. He caught another one when we sent out drafts, he corrected one and not the other, so.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you helping us keep on top of this. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'm
Or
making a motion to adjourn.
Second.
is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Let's be adjourned.
We are adjourned.